Hi guys, this is Erica Weston with
Bally.
Sports Midwest, and you're listening to my favorite St. Louis Blues hockey podcast, Let's Go Blues Radio.
As the world's only personalized vitamin platform based on a health assessment and your DNA, ID Life provides its members with high-quality ingredients backed by pure science.
It's science.
Check out rockinthatidlife.com and speak with Dustin about how you can reach your goals today. That's rockinthatidlife.com.
Sunrise Brewery is a proud sponsor of Let's Go Blues Radio. Visit sunrisebrewery.com today to schedule a no-contact curbside pickup or make a reservation in their awesome tap room. That's Sunrise Brewery, located in Midtown St. Louis. Let's go Blues!
Welcome to Season 9, Episode 52 of Let's Go Blues Radio. This is the fully vaccinated, often imitated, but never duplicated, never biodegraded. We are the original St. Louis Blues hockey podcast. Support for Let's Go Blues Radio is brought to you in part by rockinthatidlife.com, the world's only truly personalized vitamin platform based on a health assessment of your DNA, and by sunrisebrewery.com, St. Louis's first and only hockey-themed brewery. We're broadcasting live on Thursday, September 9th, 2021. This is franchise episode number 318 all time. I'm Jeff Ponder, and I'm joined by should-be CBC Hall of Famer Bill Day. Right, Bill?
My name's on the wall.
There you go.
My name's on the wall in the gym.
Backup goalie or starting goalie?
Backup, for sure.
Oh, okay. Well,
Yeah.
still
I
very
picked Flanners
valuable.
better than anybody.
Yeah, there you go, man. You know what's up. Kurt Price is on assignment, so everybody kick back, crack open a beer or a hydrate from rockinthatidlife.com and enjoy some hockey talk for the foreseeable future. To interact with the show on social media, we're on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Kurt is the one that's now trying to figure out TikTok, so we'll check in with him next week to see how he's doing. Bill gave up. He couldn't figure it out, so unfortunate.
Yeah.
Damn it, Bill.
I'm way too old.
That's going to be an ongoing joke forever. We'll never have a TikTok, just so everybody knows. Have you checked out our Discord server? It's an excellent community for Blues fans to interact with one another, as well as the hosts of this show. It's been a little quiet this summer, but we will be back as soon as the season gets going. It's always a good time. For more info, go to letsgoblues.com/Discord. We are dual live streaming right now on YouTube and Facebook. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe to the show, smash the bell so you'll get notifications when we go live. Bill, we have a very special guest with us today. We are going to get to him in just 1 minute, but wanted to ask you how Sheldon the dog is doing and how life has been at the Day household.
Sheldon's great.
Oh, there he is.
Back here working on his nails, so
that's good.
He's great at taking care of those. No, he's been great, healthier than ever relative to Sheldon's health, but yeah, he's great. Our household is just a little too busy with work these days, but otherwise,
I hear that.
I cannot wait for puck drop. We're getting there.
We're inching closer every show. It's so much closer. So speaking of puck drop, somebody who's around the team a lot, want to welcome in a friend of the show, already a friend of the show. Now he is a 2 or 3 time friend of the show. I don't know. Lou Korac, who you can follow on Twitter at LKorac10. He's also obviously the Blues writer over at NHL.com. And you can also check out In the Slot, which is his personal blog at lkorac10.blogspot.com. Lou, thank you very much for coming on the show, and I hope you're enjoying your summer.
Yeah, good to be with you guys. It's been far and few in between talking pucks this summer, but glad to kind of get polished up here a little bit and get things going because the prospects are going to be getting together next week. And what better way than to polish my skills back up again than to start talking a little Blues hockey. I'm glad to
You
be
going to
with
go
you
up there?
guys.
You going to be up there, or are you just going to be covering from down here?
No, I'm not going to go up there. The opportunity existed, but I haven't made that trip. I've always talked about making that trip. I heard it's a pretty unique experience, but a lot going on around here usually. So we just kind of sit back and are able to watch the games and take a look in at the prospects and kind of get ready for the regular camp to start up.
Yeah. So summer months for you. I mean, we've been talking on this show about, obviously with the condensed schedule last year, with the playoffs going a little later than typical, free agency, all of that's later than we normally would have seen. Have you noticed this summer went by a little quicker than usual, or has it just been kind of, business as usual for you?
You know what? It's just been really weird because you're used to so many different things being on a set schedule. And then, now you're just thinking, wow, camp's going to start here in a week and a half, and with free agency not being at the start of June or July, and then Stanley Cup final usually ends mid-June, all that kind of got pushed back again. And just so many different things that have kind of been going on. I'm just really looking forward to, more than anything, just everything getting back on schedule like it used to be. I mean, that's when you get into a flow. That's when you really get into a rhythm of what's going on, what you're doing. Certain dates when things are going to happen, and you're just kind of waiting for all that to happen. So, but it's nice that camp's going to get started here pretty quickly, because I can't remember even what camp feels like now, since, it was unconventional last year. It was really different the year before with the ending to the season. So I'm just really, and I'm sure everybody kind of can share their feelings on that. Just really looking forward to everything getting back to normal again.
So I want to go ahead and say in our Facebook comments, we've got Adam Gold saying good evening, and good evening to you, friend Adam. You had posted something you wanted me to ask Lou earlier, and I've already forgotten it. So go ahead and post it back there in the chat, and I'll make sure to ask. It was something ridiculous, just so you know, Lou. It's he was asking you to, I think, do a rap battle or something. So real quick, we'll do our official beers of episode number 318. You can follow each of us on the Untapped app. Kurt, who's not with us tonight, he's at cprice12. You can find me at jponder94, and Bill is at Billy Blue Note 33. Bill, what are you drinking tonight?
It's Oktoberfest season, so I've got my Oktoberfest mug. You can find the camera. And I am putting back Four Hands Fest beer. So the beer that you go to beer or to Munich to pound. And
nice.
Yeah, it's that time of year. I think next week we'll start getting into the heavier box, and before too long back to stouts. But yeah, so
yeah, my second beer is the O'Fallon Pumpkin, which is my favorite pumpkin beer. Really, the only one I drink. That and the Pumpkin. But yeah, I was actually, quick story about Oktoberfest. I went into the liquor store tonight. And I thought, man, I'm going to get an Oktoberfest. I'm feeling the weather. I went out and ran today. It was beautiful. And so I thought, oh, this is a perfect night to have an Oktoberfest, break it open for the season. No Oktoberfest beer where I went. I was pissed. How do you not have Oktoberfest? Ugh. So I just settled for pumpkin, but that's fine. But tonight, that is not my official beer of the episode. Tonight, I'm enjoying one of my new favorites. I just discovered this within the last couple months, because typically this is not my style. Kona Brewing, Big Wave. Just a great Hawaiian beer. I think our friend Dr. F117 Nighthawk says she's going to be going out there, if she hasn't already, sometime soon, and checking out the brewery, which is awesome, out in Hawaii. But just a great beer. When you drink it, you feel like you're on a beach. I don't know. It's not normally my style of beer, but I'm a big fan.
Yeah,
Bill,
it's been a few years, but they've certainly picked up the advertising. Feel like every Saturday morning when I'm streaming Premier League on the NBC app, that's always playing. And then I think Hulu is also big on that right now.
Yeah, I've seen it on Hulu.
Yeah, pretty decent commercials. It's been several years since I've had it, but I do recall enjoying it.
All right, Bill, cross the river. Come on over. You can have one. I'll allow it.
Man, you guys are making me feel really bad. I don't know any of these things. I guess I'm just a simple AB guy. I don't know.
Yeah, well, AB's good. I'm a big Shock Top fan. That's one of my favorite beers. I know you said earlier you like Michelob Ultra, which to me that is golf course beer. I love drinking that on the golf course.
Mick Golden Light. Mick
Golden
Golden
Light
Light is the choice for me. Yeah, that's usually the choice for me. And I play. I don't know if you guys are aware, but yeah, I play indoor soccer several nights a week, and that's kind of my keep myself in shape sport, and has been pretty much my entire life. But yeah, usually afterwards, those are the buckets that are usually flowing at our tables when we're done.
We got a lot of questions coming in right now. I'm guessing. Okay, so Lou, this is something that's unfamiliar to you, I'm sure. My mother is a big fan of the show. Surprise, surprise. She's in the Facebook chat. I'm going to go ahead and mention her before we get to the rest of everybody else. She says, and we're going to go ahead and I guess do a little today in Cardinals history. Mark McGwire hit number 62 on this day. I actually didn't realize that. I saw
the video clip of that earlier, actually. I did see the video clip of that earlier today, so I was aware of that.
Huh. I was not. And you know what's funny is my mom and I were just entranced, in 98, not to make you guys feel bad. I was, 13 years old. Sorry, Lou. But I mean, my mom was a big McGwire fan. She's just a big baseball fan, loved Ozzie too. And man, we just were captivated. I actually just found a bunch of VHS tapes of Cardinals games I had recorded. And I mean, I think I got every home run between 45 and 70 that year on tape. So unfortunately, MLB won't let me post those on YouTube, but cool to have for sure. So we'll get to today in Blues history a little later because we want to talk to Lou first. So again, Lou, writer for NHL.com, and he's got some great in-depth coverage of chats with Blues players, Blues management, Blues coaching, anyone he can talk to over at his In the Slot blog, which again, you can find if you're watching the video stream, you can see it there in the bottom right corner, right behind Lou, right under Lou. lkorac10.blogspot.com. So Lou, thanks for coming on. And I hope you're ready for some real hard-hitting questions because that's what we do here.
Fire away, folks. Where's Hitch when we need him?
Fire away, folks. Yep. So our first question, the first hard-hitting question is what I mentioned earlier from our friend Adam, listener Adam. He says, can I ask Lou to reenact the announcement of the O'Reilly trade in the style of DMX?
Can I pass?
It's pretty close to a rap battle.
You can pass, yeah. I saw that he posted that earlier, and we made the announcement. I'm like, you have got to remind me that one because that's a good one.
Yeah, that's that would take a special craft to reenact that one with the right person too. So, but I'll tell you what, I can tell you about that one real quick though. I remember when that went down. And I literally thought we were done for the day. And the talk on that was just persistently dying down. And I believe July 1st was what? A Sunday that day? I think it was, if I'm not mistaken.
Correct.
And I'm like, come on, it's time to get out of here. It was such a nice day out, and you're cooped up in this desk all day long. And we thought that they were just done for the day. And then next thing you know, this thing came out of nowhere at like 7:30, 8 o'clock at night. And I'm thinking, you've got to be kidding me. And then when I saw what the trade details were, I was like, holy smokes, who the heck did Doug Armstrong fleece on this one?
Yep.
And the rest is history.
Yeah, I know I've told this story countless times on the show, but Sundays are you mentioned playing indoor soccer. I'm a hockey, I play a lot of hockey too. So I was playing from a men's league team at like noon or 1 o'clock that day. And it was shortly after the Perron and Bozak signings were announced. Mm-hmm. And the talk in the locker room was, What the hell? David Perron for a third time. Tyler Bozak is your answer for your number one center. What the hell is Armstrong doing? I mean, everyone was in a bad mood. I remember lining up in the face-off and talking to somebody else and him yelling back to a teammate, "Hey, you better win this like Bozak." And then we all just kind of looked at each other and I'm like, "Can you believe that that's what's going on today?" And he's like, "God, they're going to be terrible next year." And then that night, like you said, it was, we're all relaxed at home, we're getting ready for the week, and all of a sudden the O'Reilly trade comes down. I know I've told this part of the story too. Friend of the show, Dustin Paul, messages me, "Did you hear that they got O'Reilly for Berglund and Saboka?" And I'm like, "You are lying, sir. Why would you say this to me?" And then all of a sudden I go on Twitter and it's just blowing up. So yeah, I mean, just like you, I know we were all shocked when that trade went down.
I had to do a double take. I literally did when I saw, okay, this is official. I got the official word on this, and then saw the details, and I just kept thinking. I was like, and I kept waiting for the and it never came, and I was just like, I was floored. And the next thing you know, yeah, we're talking to Doug Armstrong that night, and yeah, that was quite an eventful day. Like you had mentioned, with the free agent signings, and then the creme de la creme, if you want to call it. That was quite a coup, and that one will stay in Blues history for a long time. It's one of those trades that definitely was not just one-sided, but won decisively by this franchise.
Well, and let's not even, I kind of just passed over Perron and Bozak. Both those guys became big pieces of that Cup team, and David
Huge.
Perron is playing probably the best hockey of his career right now in a Blues jersey.
100%.
And I made a comment a couple of weeks ago that I think when it's all said and done, hopefully he retires a Blue, he could be in the top 5, top 10 Blues all time with the numbers he's putting up.
Top 5 is going to be tough. Top 10, I can definitely get on board with that one, but I reserve judgment on that call still, because I mean, he doesn't look like he's slowing down anytime soon. So who knows what kind of numbers he's going to continue to put up here. But yeah, I would say right now you got a pretty good claim there for potentially being a top 10 all-time Blue. But yeah, you got some guys that are up there in that top 5 that are going to be awfully hard to pass.
So, I always say he's the I never say this on the show, so this might be the first time. Bill, tell me if you've heard this one. He's the Julio Louis-Dreyfus of the Blues roster because he just keeps getting better with age.
You've said it in the green room, but never on the air.
Well, there you go. Hopefully Julia's listening. I want to add to everybody, I do see your comments coming in Facebook and YouTube, so we will be getting to those, but there's a couple questions that I would like to get to start off here with Lou. First of all, you mentioned a couple minutes ago that, reporting during the past year and a half has just been so different for you. It's been a different swing. I'm sure you've been home a lot more than you're used to, but just kind of a blanket question here, but tell us what it was like. How did your life change, and how did reporting change, other than, obviously you've got your Zoom calls with the players, but your prep for the game, how you write your gamers and all that. How have you been able to go about that during this COVID-19 pandemic?
Well, it's a good question, and a lot did change. I would say, just start off from a practice perspective, it wasn't really too different other than the Zoom calls that you mentioned. I mean, you go out to, whether it be Centene or whether it be down at Enterprise, and other than dealing with the COVID protocols and consistently wearing a mask, I mean, it was pretty standard as far as covering practices. But yeah, it was just nonstop Zoom after Zoom after Zoom after Zoom, and that's the part to me out of all this that's just I'm looking forward to eliminating. And I think I can speak for all the colleagues and all the fellow writers, broadcasters, whoever may be involved in covering the team. It's just there's nothing like the human interaction and the face-to-face interaction with not just on the record of talking to players and coaches, and whether it be Doug Armstrong and whatnot, but just just general little chit chat, where you develop relationships with guys, and joking around with them, just talking, trading stories and stuff like that. And it's kind of the same thing with games, but my only biggest difference with games when you're covering the games is you didn't have to rush to get downstairs, to get down the elevator, to get down into the locker room, to try to hurry up. You file a game or on deadline and send a first right through game story in, and then you got to try to hit the elevator to get downstairs so you can go down and get interviews and then get back upstairs and transcribe. It was like, okay, the games are over. You can just kind of sit there and open up your Zoom link and wait for Blues PR to bring in whoever they bring in. And and when you've got that human interaction, a lot of times, they tend to ask us, well, who do you want after the game? And they'll put somebody on the board. But there's also times where, you can see somebody walking by and you're like, hey, such and such, hey, can we chat for a few minutes? And, you miss that part of it too. It's just, but the bottom line is the human interaction. That's what I've missed more than anything. It's just not being able to see any of these guys and just talk to them face to face. And I can tell you guys this, and I can't speak for these guys, but just the sense that I get is that I think these guys are tired of staring into computer screens themselves. They want to be able to see us face to face and really give an honest answer to a question, what have you not. And instead of just kind of clamming up like a robot, basically, I mean, when you're talking to people, even in scrums, I mean, it's better when you're going with them one-on-one, or when there's two people talking with them, that they tend to be a little more loose and maybe give you a better answer than what they're doing on these Zoom calls. And I know Alex Steen was one of the ones that had brought it up last year, right when he had announced his retirement, that he was trying to get pretty in depth into a question that somebody had asked him, and he kind of looked into the screen, talking to all of us and saying, I wish I could talk to you guys face to face. I can give you a better answer on this. And that just really hit home with me, that's the part that I really miss, guys, is more than anything. And can't wait to get back to that. And the league is going to allow us back into the locker room access, but only for those that are fully vaccinated, and you still have to wear a mask. But you know what? I'll make that trade any day if I can go back into the locker room and talk to guys face to face again.
Any other protocol that you've heard of that's going to change your day to day when you're reporting on the team?
Those are the biggest ones, and obviously everything's going to be subject to change. Depending on with the league and working with the CDC and just the guidelines in general and the protocols that are set. It's still, everything's still going to be kind of fluid, and it's going to be in flux, but this is the way we're going to start it off. And that's the most important thing, is the fact that, you'll get a chance to go back in. And I'll be honest with you guys, it got me going on that ball too, because I'm not afraid to admit it. I'm pretty needle phobic. Okay. And needles scare the heck out of me, and they always have since I was a kid. But you know what? Reality hit with me, and I kind of told myself, you know what, do you want to be subjected to Zoom interviews for good and try to do your job that way? Because let's be honest with you, I don't like doing my job that way. And I didn't like doing my job that way, but I knew it was necessary for us to get by this period. But if you want to get back into the locker room, you're going to do it the right way. And I think that's going to kind of help everybody get into that path of not only vaccination, but complying with the protocols that they set, and hopefully, we can all get back to life the way it used to be.
So obviously training camp ramping up here in just a little bit. Players starting to report to St. Louis now. For you, this is still the summer months for you, I guess, in a way, but that's going to change very quickly here. What's your life going to be like the next couple weeks?
I'm actually looking forward to it. I mean, it's once free agency, and I've always kind of noticed this from experience, that once free agency comes and goes, you can have your stories that you can do, just, on what guys are doing during the summertime, or if anybody has anything special going on. But it's usually what I kind of call our dead time, because, unless somebody signs or gets traded or what have you not, there really isn't a ton going on. And you just kind of wait for, the free agency days to really kind of wane down. And then you wait for training camp. And once training camp gets going, it's 2 feet going forward, and you don't look back. And it starts with, and this year it's going to start with, the prospects going to Traverse City. And then, not too long after that, the main guys will get going. And a lot of them are already here now, and, they're skating on their own. They're out at Centene going, and they like to use this time to get prepped and make sure they're in as good a shape as possible before camp even starts, because you guys know as well as I do that, the great thing about NHL training camps is, once they get going 2, 3, 4 days into it, boom, you're playing preseason games and you're off and running. And these coaches expect you to be in shape once you get here and once that starts. So this is kind of the time that those guys use for that. And once the prospects get going, and then once training camp gets going, it's pretty much an everyday basis for us. And you're pretty much going nonstop until they either don't make the playoffs, get eliminated from the playoffs, or as the Blues case was back in 2019, which was something great for all of us to cover. You win it all.
Yeah, that's true. That was the hardest part for me about the Blues winning in 2019 was I was like, you got out 4 years too early, boy. You should have still been in the media because you could have covered this. I bet that was a lot of fun.
Jeff, that was an experience, a great experience. I mean, look how long it took me to finally cover a Stanley Cup champion. And I'll tell you what, I remember after Game 7, I was probably the last one to leave TD Garden that night. And I'll give you guys just the quick nuts and bolts of that. It's going on 3:00 in the morning, and I'm like the last guy to leave the arena. I took a picture of it because I might have even outlasted the cleaning crew afterwards. And so I'm walking out, and the streets of Boston there are just completely dead, and rightfully so. I mean, it was funny because before the game they were all talking about how there was going to be a big party on the streets of TD Garden after that, because they were just sure they were going to win Game 7. And I'm looking around, and I thought about taking a picture of the dead streets and just putting a caption on it going, "Where's everybody at? Where's the party at?" And I just didn't want to get bombarded with all these hateful Boston replies. And I just kind of left it alone, but I just thought that would have been kind of great. And so I caught an Uber to the airport, and 3 hours later I'm on a plane, and I'm thinking, God, what am I going to do tomorrow? It just ended like that. And, but I did remember I got home, and it was like, man, I don't think I'm going to get out of this bed for the next 12 hours. And after that, it was like, what the heck am I going to do with my time now? Because I'll tell you what, when you get into the playoffs, it is a grind to cover. It really is. And it's day after day after day, and just multiple story after multiple story. And the littlest thing you're writing about, or you're on a radio show doing, or somebody's got you on a spot doing a TV segment. But it was awesome, and an experience I'll never forget. And for everybody that got to enjoy it, I'm sure they would tell you the same thing.
Yeah. I mean, I covered the most I ever covered was 2 rounds with the Blues. It was 2012 when they beat the Sharks and then lost to the Kings. And stories were a little different for you.
2016?
That was the year I left was when they went to the third round.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, they waited until I left to get good. So, no, I was there in 2012, and I remember, the story back then was always who's the starting goalie going to be. Halak was hurt, then Elliott came back, and then Halak was maybe going to be able to play, and I remember every day that was the question. And then the same thing in 2015 with Jake Allen and Brian Elliott. What's the who's going to be the starting goalie? And that was the question everybody asked me. And I remember there was times on Twitter, I'd be like, hey, heading to Blues practice, should be good. And I would get 10 people right away. ask him who the starting goalie is. I'm like, you don't think the other 15 reporters there are going to ask the same damn question? Like that's the number one question Hitchcock gets. So of course. So yeah.
Listen, some things never change though. Just remember that.
Yeah. Actually, yeah. I do remember people saying Jake Allen should have gotten some starts during that time. So I'm sure you dealt with it in 2019 too.
Oh yeah, for sure. But I'll tell you what, though, you guys saw it once Bennington just got on that roll. It was like, leave the guy in there, let him go. Let's, when you're in the basement, there's nowhere to go but up. And I mean, January 3rd, that's where they were. And once he kind of came in there and righted the ship, boy, that was something to see that ascension, because that climb was rapid and vaulted them all the way to 99 points, I believe it was. And you guys know the rest. It's history now.
Yep. Fantastic year. Fun to watch, fun to cover here on this show as well. Some of our favorite shows are during that cup run. Bill, I know we had a couple post-game shows that were very thrilling. We were biting our nails in the third period, probably tossing back more than we should have. And then we're like, man, I got to do a post-game show, and I'm frantic as hell right now. So yeah, those were fun, but man, there were times where I'm like, man, I'm either going to love doing the show or I'm going to hate it.
Yeah, that's a great thing about podcasting, though, is that, we don't have to report to anybody. And if we do get a little bit too drunk and out of hand, it's okay.
Well,
and that was really before sponsors. So
that's true. That's a good point. We didn't have sponsors then. We do now. So we got to be a little more careful.
Don't you guys take all the questions of the wrath, especially after losses? Everybody's bitter about every little thing. Then I'm sure you guys have heard.
Oh yeah,
some off the wall topics, I'm sure.
You get more. I know. I've seen it on Twitter, but yeah, like even the Tarasenko talk. I mean, every single week it's we get a question in the comments like, hey, what do you guys think about Tarasenko? And I'm like, we've talked about this for 6 weeks. Like, do you really want to hear more from us? No other news has come out.
Right. It's like Lou said, it's the dead time of the season, right?
Yep.
If we were Bob McKenzie, we'd be at our cottage up in Lake Country in Ontario, but we're not lucky.
Yep.
Here's my cottage right here. You guys see it in my background. It's my living room, and I just got done painting this sucker a couple of weeks ago. That's my cottage. How about that?
There you go. Yeah, I'm in my cottage right now, my basement. So I mentioned Tarasenko and how it's getting so old to be talking about it, but I'm going to ask you anyway, Lou. What is your take on the Tarasenko situation right now?
Oh man, do we got enough time to really delve into this? Because listen, guys, I'll be honest with you. When this all first came to light, I thought there was no chance in hell that he was going to be on this roster to start the season. I mean, I would have given a snowball's chance a better option. I mean, really, I just did not see this happening whatsoever. And who knows? I mean, this could change at the drop of a dime. I mean, that's literally where it's at. But more and more we get closer to training camp, the more and more it's looking like he may start the season here. And, you've seen what some of the teams that have were mentioned as being interested parties, the Islanders, the Hurricanes. I've heard the Rangers were sniffing around there. A couple of others that might have been lurking in the water, but decided to maybe back off. But some of those main ones, they've made moves. And New Jersey Devils, that was another one. They make their move at the time for Thomas Tatar. Okay, that kind of set them in motion as saying, okay, we're going to step aside. Now you saw the moves that the Islanders here recently made, and now they're up against the cap. You've got Carolina with the offer sheet, which I don't know about you guys. I thought that was great. Their PR staff, that was fantastic what they did with all that. I mean, I couldn't stop laughing at some of that stuff, but
Bill's a Canadiens fan, by the way.
Well, you know what? I mean, I thought, well, they're
there you go.
Oh, so somebody's a little bitter, huh?
I have feelings about that.
Okay. Okay. That's understandable.
No,
But you know what?
we did talk about the whole Twitter feud fiasco with Carolina, and I think Bill even agrees.
Yeah.
The switcheroo card, the signing bonus,
Yeah.
that was great stuff. Wonderful stuff from Carolina.
I mean, that's just, that's great stuff, that you can have that kind of banter. I mean, they try to make it's a pretty serious situation. When you're signing someone to an offer sheet, you're talking about some pretty nasty and bitter things that are said behind closed doors. Trust me. I've heard some of those, you saw what happened with David Backes. Boy, that was the one with Vancouver back in the day. That was something else. That's why you just don't see him very often. But I know I'm getting off track here, but with Tarasenko, he's in town, he's working out with the guys, and I've gone on a few different shows. The guys with ESPN. I've talked to Bernie at 590 The Fan, and my personal feeling on it, guys, and this is talking from if I was a teammate's perspective. I just don't like the fact that a lot of that stuff was aired publicly. And that's where I come from on that. Listen, he's probably got a valid claim with a lot of the things that have gone on, because I've talked to a lot of athletic trainers, strength trainers that have told me personal stories about guys that rehab shoulder injuries, not just in hockey, but in different sports. I'll tell you what, it's a mother to come back from. They really are. Those things can be as grueling as an injury you can to come back from. And to have to do it twice, I can understand why he would be upset and bitter and angry that this wasn't corrected the first time. I completely comply and understand with him, but just from a professional standpoint and from being on the same page with your teammates, I think that's just me personally here. And I could, you can agree with me and you may not agree with me. I just think that a lot of that stuff would have been better off staying behind closed doors, because to me, it's just, if I'm his teammate and I'm talking about, I want out of here, to me, that's telling me you don't want to be my teammate anymore. And it could be, that could be furthest from the truth, but just the fact that it's coming out in that manner, I would just look at him and say, okay, you don't want to be my teammate. Get out of here. I don't want to see you in here again. That's just my personal opinion on this. If you have grievances and you want to air something out that you're angry or upset with management or with team doctors with the way something was handled, keep it behind closed doors and keep your teammates out of it. But then I look at it from the flip side, and if the Blues accept him back into the locker room, I can see where they would sit back and go, okay, maybe this is one of those situations where, yeah, it was aired publicly. Maybe it shouldn't have been aired publicly, but if you want to be our teammate, if you're not necessarily upset with us, you're not necessarily saying you don't want to be our teammate anymore, then I can see them welcoming him back into the locker room. And that's my stance now, because a couple of weeks ago when I was talking about this, I swore up and down that there's not a chance in hell that they would accept him back into that locker room. But what I'm seeing now, that's the professionalism you have from guys like O'Reilly, from Shen, from Falk, from Pareco, from Krug, and these guys that probably understand the situation a lot better than we do on the inside, being his teammate. So I don't know, fellas. The closer this gets and the more we get towards training camp, 91 could very easily put that blue sweater on again. And a month ago, there was not a chance in hell I saw that happening.
Yeah, same with me. And we talked about this last week, that I think that, man, if he could bounce back and be the player that he was, this is quickly forgotten. And I think, by fans, by media, and, media, Lou never lets anything go, but
yeah.
But no,
exactly.
the fans will quickly forget. I think even teammates forget to a certain extent, but right now it is this kind of elephant in the room. And, but yeah, I think if he gets going and he's, the same guy he was in the locker room with his teammates, and this is just, me speaking, I don't have any insider info. I think, like you said, there's no reason why they wouldn't just be happy to have him back and forget what happened this summer. But yeah, with it being a public thing, it definitely makes it something that the whole team is going to be thinking about going into training camp. And then obviously, again, people are going to be asking those questions, and you're going to be hearing it on the radio. You're going to be hearing it in interviews. And so it's going to be a constant reminder until at least the season gets going. But yeah, like you said, anything could change. I mean, we had a show a couple weeks ago. We were getting ready to close up, and Rutherford said, thinking about going to bed? Don't go to bed, because I've got a story coming out about Tarasenko in 5 minutes. And so we're like, damn it, we can't end the show now. We got to keep it going until he posts something. So you never know what could happen.
Well, you know what, guys? You kind of had a sense that something wasn't sitting right when he changed agents. When he cut Mike Liut loose, and listen, Mike Liut, one of the more respected guys out there, and has had Blues clients in the past, and he changed to Paul Theophanis, and I apologize if I mispronounced his name there. When he switched, and he's known for probably one of the more prominent guys is Artemi Panarin, and that's his agent. And when he switched to Panarin's agent, you're thinking, maybe something's going on here, because Vladdy and Panarin are great friends, and let's make no bones about it. Back in the day when Panarin was with the Blackhawks, Vladdy tried to get the Blues to sign him here, and it didn't work out that way. So you're thinking, something's got to be in the water here. Something's lurking here that's not sitting well. And then all of a sudden, this all just blew up from an agent's perspective. And I guess that's his job. If anybody's gonna air something publicly, typically a lot of times in those situations it'll go through an agent. But it just, at the time, it's like I said before, it just something like that just doesn't sit all that great with me from a teammate's perspective. But this is Doug Armstrong's way of saying, I'm not going to trade you just to trade you. And if I can find a suitable partner and a suitable package that can help the St. Louis Blues and meets our needs, then yes, I will accommodate you. But if not, I'll see you at training camp, and you'll be a St. Louis Blue, and you're under contract, and we'll continue to push forward here and trying to get this franchise back to where it was a couple of years ago. And you know what? Think about it, guys. If fences can be mended, and again, I didn't think there was a chance in hell that could happen, but if somehow fences could be mended here, think about this. You're adding another top 6 player already to 2 guys in Buchnevich and Brandon Saad that you are adding there. All of a sudden now your top 6 is looking awfully loaded and maybe even overcrowded a little bit, where you've got guys that could possibly play a top 6 role. Now they're playing in your top 9. Man, that gives you some great balance, and something that we all have to think about here, because it could very well happen.
So we've got a couple comments we'll get to here. First of all, Cameron Smith in the Facebook chat says, evening, gents. Hope all's well in St. Louis. Excited for the new season to start soon. We're with you, Cameron. And then I want to get to this one here, since we're talking about Tarasenko, and this will be the last question about Tarasenko, I promise. He says, hey, fellas, this is Dustin Paul, by the way. He says, hey, fellas, first-time caller here, which is absolute crap, Dustin. That is not true. He says
3 weeks ago.
Yeah, I was gonna say we actually had him on the show, so don't you be sassing me there, Paul. He says I would like to hear Lou's thoughts on Yana Tarasenko using the hashtag "Stay Away from the Media." I don't know if you saw that Instagram post she made and had responded about staying in St. Louis. What's your response to seeing something like that?
I was made aware of it. I hope I'm not on her bad side, because she actually follows me on Twitter. So I don't think I've rubbed her the wrong way. And I'll be honest with you guys, I've kind of I haven't delved too deeply into a lot of the he said she said stuff with this story, and you guys know JR and I are buddies, and he's been on top of that from the get-go, and good for him. I mean, you know, he came up with a lot of the goods there, and it's a pretty there's some pretty serious stuff that was going on there. You know, whenever you get into trade requests and stuff like that, some things can be said, and that maybe shouldn't have been said, should have been said, how it was portrayed, how it was perceived. I don't know. I reserve judgment to think that maybe that was just something in generic that maybe, I don't know, she saw that's been written about Vladdy that's kind of perceived him in a bad light out of all this. I don't think I've done anything in that regard. If I have, I apologize. Well, no, I don't necessarily think I should, because I'm just doing a job, but I don't think I've delved into anything in that regard. But and I really haven't seen anything out there from anybody else that hasn't, written or talked about, the information that's been presented to us. So I really don't know what she means by that, but that would probably be a better question to ask her. But I've never interacted with her on a personal level before, and I've seen her in passing, every now and then, and just say hello, when we're walking past the locker room or past the players' wives lounge and the family lounge and whatever have you not. I've, just in passing said hello to her before, but yeah, I thought that was kind of interesting, and myself wondered what she meant by it, but I don't take any, personal attacks or whatever have you not, whatever you want to call it. I don't take it personally one bit.
So one of the questions that I had for you was just kind of, your thoughts on this year's roster compared to last year's opening roster. But I want to go ahead and ask it in the style of Darren Grice in the YouTube chat. He says, I'm not sure the Blues are going to be much better than last year. Are they at least going to be more exciting to watch without, well, he calls him Borzak, but we'll call him Bozak because that's his name, and Jaden Schwartz. So your thoughts on this roster look compared to last season?
I think there's the potential to be better, but you have to have some things fall into place, obviously, for that to happen. For one, and I'll start from the back, you need Jordan Binnington to be Jordan Binnington. Okay, he's going into his contract now. This is the contract that they signed him to, long term, good financial terms, and this is the contract they gave him to be the guy for the next 6 years. And, obviously helping bring them a Stanley Cup. He helped earn that. He got a bridge deal and, earned himself a big contract. I think he's going to have to be the backbone of this team. That's just the way it is. Just like he was back in 2019. I mean, when they were in last place, who was their backbone? Jordan Binnington. How he went, everybody else went. His play really resonated with everybody else. So I think if he can get back to that top 10 guy that he has the potential of being, I think they're definitely going to be a better team. And when you start with the blue line, Torrey Krug's going to get better. He had I always called it the Justin Falk syndrome last year, where you guys saw what happened with Falk his first year. He had a tough time adjusting and played fantastic for this team last year with what he was able to do. I think Torrey Krug will have a bounce back year. And I think the biggest thing you see out of him was when he played in Boston, why he was so effective was because he didn't have to play, top pairing minutes. He was part of that, that second tier of defensemen and did it quite well. Well, here he was asked to be, a top pairing defenseman quite a bit. And I think once he gets adjusted to that and once he continues to get acclimated with this system, I think he'll produce better. And for me on the blue line, the number one guy is Colton Pareco. If he's healthy, that just makes this blue line so much better. I mean, you guys could see it last year. He wasn't 100%, not even close at both ends of the ice. I mean, you could watch this guy play and he could skate out of a phone booth. I've always made that claim. And if he's anywhere near 100% healthy, which when we talked to him last week, he claims that he feels great and he's ready to go, then that blue line is just going to be that much better. And, I like the additions that they made with Brandon Saad. He's going to be your Jaden Schwartz replacement. They're going to miss Schwartz, no doubt about it. I mean, the guy's a workhorse, and I've never seen anybody in the years that I've covered the Blues work as hard as that guy does, both ends of the ice, and not just for himself but his teammates. But you've got a guy in Brandon Saad that brings a lot of those qualities that Jaden Schwartz has, maybe a little bit more consistent scoring touch, and that was probably my biggest knack with Jaden Schwartz was he just had too many peaks and valleys when it came to offense. And I hate putting this on him because, again, guys, you guys realize he lost his dad, and that was just really tough for him to deal with. And but you got to look at it from a business side, and for them to justify giving him a raise for the numbers that he produced, that was a tough one to get over. And bringing in a guy like Buchnevich, I really like it because I watched quite a few of the Rangers game last year, and I really like what he can bring to the table. And to me, I think his ceiling is still high because he's only, as well as he played last year, I think he's just going to get better. And he's just now reaching into those peak years. And I think the Blues are getting him at the right time. So if you can combine all that with what you're able to add to your top six and what you're able to add to your bottom two forward lines, and you're hoping that you got a healthy Oscar Sundqvist there with an Ivan Barbashev that can really anchor your fourth line. And if you have to push Sundqvist up into a third line role, that option is also there. But I'll tell you guys this, and I am really shocked that nobody has gotten into what are your lines on opening night. I am very intrigued by a potential trio of Robert Thomas between Jordan Kyrou and Klim Kostin. How does that one size up for you guys?
That sounds pretty damn good. Reminiscent of the old Kid line, right, Bill? Was it Brian Sutter, Bernie Fedorko, and who was on the other side? Drawing a blank on that one, but yeah, I remember hearing the stories about how good that Kid line was, and then a couple of years ago we had the Oshie, Berglund, Perron line. So, yeah, that would be a lot of fun to see. I think Thomas and Kostin could really find some chemistry together. The way they play, I think there's a lot of chemistry to be had there. So it'd be interesting to see if they can line up in training camp. And with Kyrou on the right side, good Lord, the sky's the limit for that line.
I'm giving Klim Kostin every chance to make this roster this year, and not just to make the roster, but to be an impact player. And when I say that, I give him the highest regard there to be able to play him with a Robert Thomas and a Jordan Kyrou. I'm just and I'm not Craig Berube. I'm not part of what these guys are going to decide to do as a coaching staff, but I am very intrigued to see if that trio gets a chance, because I think they can do some things and do some really positive things for this team if the coaching staff trusts them as a unit to be out there together.
Yeah, and that's a great point. I thought as last year went on, you really saw that Chief really started taking a liking to Kyrou, and Kyrou started to almost outshine Thomas. And I think that trust factor was the big thing, and he started trusting him, started playing him. In my mind, if he can get there with Kostin early in the season, man, that is an very exciting prospect to have those three guys together.
And the craziness is that would be probably what you're considered your third line. I mean, that's a dynamic line right there.
Yeah. There's one thing that you guys see it. The one thing, if you're going to play for Craig Berube, and we saw it with Mike Hoffman last year, you better have the ability to show that you're going to be a two-way player. And as much as I like having Mike Hoffman on this team, and I would have been more than happy to see the Blues re-sign him again, because I think that he fit some pieces that they needed. You saw what Craig Berube did when he didn't see the two-way game. And some of these younger guys, they'll find out pretty quickly that Chief will let you know that, as much as you like to do on the offensive end, you better get yourself back behind the puck and be responsible in the neutral zone and in the defensive end, or your minutes are going to diminish, and you even may find yourself with a seat in the press box watching and learning what they want from you.
Darren Grice says, thought the Kid Line reference was Oshie, Perron, Berglund. That's the year that I started watching again after the lockout. Yeah, I think that was like that. What am I crazy in saying that? That was a reference back to the old days of when Fedorko and Sutter first came up, right?
Yeah, and it was, I think it was Babbage was the third
That's
guy
what I thought. Yeah,
Wayne
Wayne
Babbage,
Babbage.
yes.
Yep. We got another question here. Adam Gold, which this was something that I was going to ask you. He says, ask Lou about the Winter Classic jersey. Don't take no for an answer. Grill him, boys. Lou, what is the Blues Winter Classic jersey? And according to Adam, we are not taking no for an answer. Tell us everything you know.
I'll be honest with you guys. I wish I knew, but this one has been top secret. I'm gonna find out when you guys do, when they unveil it before the Cardinals Reds game on Friday. But the only thing that I can tell you is it's gonna. I think it's from what I've heard, and again, this is never 100% confirmed, that it's gonna have that. It's going to have that old style look from the inaugural days of when the franchise came in back in 1967, 68. And you see that you guys have seen that retro logo look. If I would bet my money that that's what it's going to be.
Yeah, I think we're all in the same boat. We've
and it's a great
look. It's a great look. Yeah. For those that follow our Twitter account, that's typically Kurt that's tweeting from that. So he was the one that was posting all about the color scheme, how it fits the original logo and the original jersey. Yeah. But yeah, I agree. I think that that's the way they're going to go. We've said a million times on this show. You know what? Before I say this, Lou, you're a longtime Blues follower. What's your favorite jersey in Blues history?
Ooh. Well, I'll be honest with you. I've really liked, the third jersey. I guess is considered the third jersey. The ones that they had with the Powder Blues here recently. I've been fascinated by that one, and that's the look of the original sweater with the retro logo that we haven't seen in the white. I mean, that's probably my favorite, to be honest with you. And the one that they wore in the Winter Classic back in 2017. I mean, I've heard from so many national people that up until then, and I don't know what the varying opinion has been since then, that may have been the best looking Winter Classic sweater that the NHL has produced, or any team has produced up until then. And that's probably my favorite look, to be honest with you. And if they're able to turn that into the away white jersey that they're going to wear against the Minnesota Wild, I'm all for that.
Yeah, I remember seeing something, Bill, that, and I know we talked about it on the show. There was something that came out, I think it was on NHL, on NBC Sports, or whatever the Twitter account was. It said, what's the best looking Winter Classic jersey? And they posted like 10 of them, but they didn't post the Blues one. And I saw people from all over, I mean, Sweden, Canada, everywhere saying, where's the Blues one? That was the best one. Yeah. And it was just, not just Blues fans saying it. So yeah, that is a classic look. And I'll add that the alumni game, they wore the whites for that. I loved that jersey too. I thought that was beautiful.
I'd be all for that one being this year's Winter Classic jersey. I really would.
Yeah.
But I think there's going to be some subtle changes to it, I would imagine.
Yeah, we've said on this show that we want to see the early 90s jerseys, the Brett Hall era jerseys, that see those in some iteration for the Winter Classic. The one that just kind of had the red striping, but not the actual terrible clown-looking diagonal lines. Those are beautiful too. So yeah, but I'm all for the original design. I think that's a beautiful look, and obviously goes with what we've seen from other teams putting out for the Winter Classic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was just going to say.
Sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say that they could actually roll out just a practice jersey and win this year's design competition with the Wild. So,
Yeah,
not
what
a
do
fan
you
of what
think? What do you
Minnesota's
think of those
got going
Wild
on.
jerseys?
Me?
Yeah. What do you think?
The ones that they wore last year, those things actually grew on me, to be honest with you. I know there's been varying opinions on that one. You either, I don't think there was anything in between. You either loved it or you hated it. And I don't know. I thought the blue ones that they wore, I thought they were different. They had a good look to me. I know a couple of the guys up in the box didn't care for them, but that's just it. I mean, I saw so many different opinions from a fan's perspective that absolutely loved them, and then there's other ones that were like, I just want to throw up on those things. So I don't know. I didn't have a problem with them, but that's just me, I guess.
So obviously things can change. We mentioned it with the Blues that, there can still be roster shakeups before the season goes, but looking at it right now, maybe let's put Colorado aside. Who do you see being the Blues' toughest competition in the Central Division this year?
Probably the Winnipeg Jets. I think that you guys saw their roster hasn't changed a ton. It's changed. I take that back. Their roster hasn't changed a ton as far as their forward lines and obviously their goaltending is concerned. From you guys remember that playoff series back in 2019? I'll tell you what, that thing was hard. That's why for the Blues to win the Cup that year, just to be able to get through that first round and the way those two teams were beating each other up, that was, I almost had a sense that whoever came out of that playoff series, once it was all said and done, was going to have a good chance to win it all. And obviously it played out that way. But, when you talk about the skill that they have up front and the great goaltending they have, yeah, they've changed on their blue line, but they had a fantastic year last year, and then they just bottomed out in the playoffs for whatever reason. I have no idea why, but I think the Winnipeg Jets will probably be their stiffest competition. The Minnesota Wild can be, but I'm not completely sold on what they were able to do last year, that they're going to be able to duplicate that, because although they've made some pretty good veteran additions to their team and they've changed out quite a bit of the look of cutting loose Zach Parise and Ryan Suter. You're talking about mainstays, that guys that sign contracts together, that's turning a whole different chapter, and we don't know what's going to happen with their Russian rocket that they have up there with Kaprizov. That'll be an interesting situation how that plays out. But the one wild card that I can see in all this is the Dallas Stars. I think they have. I was a little surprised that they took the step back that they did last year. But you're missing Tyler Seguin basically. You're missing him for the whole year. That's a big piece to what you have there. And I think once they get there, I think it's starting to play out that their goaltending situation is starting to play itself out here. That they could pose some problems because of the depth that they have, not just up front, but on their blue line as well. So those would probably be if I had to rank them 1, 2, and 3, I would probably say Winnipeg, Dallas, and maybe Minnesota. I'm not as sold on Chicago quite just yet, but I think the Blackhawks are going to start trending upwards here because they could surprise some people with, adding Marc-Andre Fleury and, committing the big contract to a Seth Jones. Those are some big pieces that they've added. And, I think they want to jump back into this pretty quickly here, but I don't know if they can quite get there yet. And I'm not sold on Nashville and Arizona yet either. I mean, Bill Armstrong, great guy to deal with here in St. Louis when he was under Doug Armstrong, but I think he's got a pretty big building block there that he's going to have to deal with.
Darren in the YouTube chat says, really glad to see the Blues back in the Central. Didn't see any news about it. But yeah, that is the case. We are back to our normal divisions. So Canada-U.S. border has figured all their problems out, so it should be a little better this year. Lou, I want to thank you very much for coming on. Again, I told you before the show, you are more than welcome to hang out for the rest of the show as we talk about the Winter Classic jersey, the Traverse City roster, and then a couple things going around the NHL as well. But, again, we're going to take our break here, but I want to go ahead and, before we do that, let people know how they can find you on social media, where they can find your work. We already mentioned it, but let's hear from the man himself.
Hey, you've taken care of it all right there, man. I love it. You've added the Twitter account. That's basically my only social media account, guys. I don't know if you can classify me in the Stone Age. I don't do Facebook. I don't do Instagram. I don't do all this stuff. I just don't have the time for all that. When you're covering a hockey team pretty much 9 months out of the year, it's kind of difficult to do that. But I appreciate the Twitter plug there at L Korac 10, and appreciate L Korac 10 at blogspot.com. That's where I kind of started that on my own, just to kind of add some more in-depth stuff, because, when you're writing for the league website at NHL.com, what a lot of people don't understand is you're dealing with 31 teams there, and now 32 teams. So information's got to come in and out about everybody in the league. So this is just the opportunity for if anybody wants, locally and that follows the Blues, just want to know a little bit more in-depth stuff about the team here. That's where I usually post that information at lkorac10 at blogspot.com. And appreciate you putting that on there for me, guys.
Yeah, of course. And I'll say,
I'll hang out. If you guys want me to hang out, I'll be more than happy to hang out with you guys.
Awesome. Yeah, let's do it. That sounds great.
All right.
You'll be Kurt. We'll start introducing you as Kurt for the rest of the show. But no, I think I'll go ahead and speak for, I know we've talked about it, the three of us off air, and then I've talked to other fans. Your Blogspot site, it's so awesome to see, because you're clearly not getting money from that. That's just you wanting to put more content out, and that's what Blues fans want. So whenever we see people giving you any kind of trouble on Twitter, we're like, dude, this guy is putting so much more work out there. He doesn't need to. So back the fuck off. Like that's what we love about you, man. We love seeing the passion that you have for writing about hockey. And that's what Blues fans want.
I appreciate that. Yeah. I mean, it's, everybody kind of deserves to have all the information at their disposal there. And I know I'm not the only one. There's a lot of others out there that cover the team that, you can follow along. And it's just kind of my way of whatever I have. I kind of sit back and go, well, I can't compile all this stuff together whenever I'm doing, the stories that I do for .com. So might as well get it out there instead of just save it all here and bottled up. So there's too many diehards out there that want to know all the ins and outs and the nuances of what's going on. So we give them that option, and more than happy to do it.
That's great to hear. Well, we're going to, as Lou said, he's going to be hanging out for the rest of the show. So we're going to take a quick break, and we will get back to talking about today in Blues history and everything else. But first, let's hear from our friends over at rockinthatidlife.com. Hey, you. Yeah, you. Put that energy drink down. Don't you know that common energy drinks contain high levels of caffeine and other harmful ingredients that can lead to increased blood pressure and heart rhythm disturbances? Finding that energy you need for everyday activities doesn't need to put your health at risk. ID Life's energy formula doesn't use artificial ingredients or a massive dose of caffeine. Energy's caffeine levels are released slowly over time, allowing for longer periods of energy without crash, not to mention keeping your heart safe. Energy also includes neurotransmitters for mood, focus, memory, and cognitive function. ID Life also added antioxidants associated with brain health for no reason besides perfection. With rockinthatidlife.com, you can get an energy boost and leave the heart risk behind. Text Dustin at 636-393-8745 or visit rockinthatidlife.com and throw those gas station energy drinks in the garbage. That's 636-393-8745 and rockinthatidlife.com, and tell Dustin that Let's Go Blues Radio sent you. Well, as I said, we're going to open the second segment of the show with some Today in Blues History, courtesy of the @STL Blues History account, and that is for September 8th, 2021. I almost said 1921. Good Lord. September 8th, 1980, Lynn Patrick, and then in 1982, Emile Francis, two former St. Louis Blues vice presidents, head coaches, and GMs were inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame. So again, that was Lynn Patrick in 1980 and Emile Francis in 1982. And then again on September 8th, 2007, St. Louis born and bred Mike McKenna makes 41 saves and recorded a shutout for the St. Louis Blues in the Traverse City tournament. And I saw Mike responded to STL Blues History. By the way, friend of the show, Mike McKenna, said that basically put him on the map, that he doesn't think that he gets an NHL or AHL contract without that game, that he was highly scouted after that. So good for Mike McKenna to have a big day and obviously put his name on the map for NHL teams to watch out for. So, big news from the Blues recently, and we already kind of talked about it a little bit here with Lou, but they're going to reveal the Winter Classic jersey Friday at Busch Stadium. Braden Shen and what they said as other Blues players will be on hand at Busch just before the Cardinals play the Reds at 7:15 p.m. The jersey will be available over at stlauthentics.com and the Blues team store over at Enterprise Center beginning Saturday at 10 a.m. We'll get into the Wild jerseys here in a bit and get our thoughts, but pretty, so again, we've already mentioned this, but Bill, especially you being a jersey nut like me, are you excited to see this reveal on Friday?
Absolutely. Was just thinking at the beginning of the show that as long as it isn't a practice jersey that they roll out, I think I'm going to have to get a David Perron sweater now that, Tarasenko looks like he may be sticking around. I still have one of his, and I have a Pareco. But I'm getting thin on jerseys of players currently with the teams. So
I think you're safe with number 55 now for the next 9 years.
Yeah. I was going to say, I got a Pareco of the last Winter Classic, and I was trying to think of, if I'm going to get one because, again, I'm a jersey nut. But, I just got the Cardinals Saturday jersey for the first time and decided just to not get a name on it. Anyone who's a Cardinals fan probably knows why. You don't know who's going to be sticking around for the next couple of years after the terrible seasons we've seen. But with the Winter Classic jersey, I'm like, I want to get it. I know I'm going to want to get it. So who am I going to get? And like Lou just said, I thought, I've already got a Pareco Winter Classic, but I might just have to make that a duel because he's going to be here a while.
Well, you got Torrey Krug, Justin Falk. They're going to be hanging around for a while too. So
I was going to say this defense is pretty set for the next little while. So we'll see. Yeah. I might just get the jersey and then wait on getting a name because, maybe Scott Pirunovich comes in and scores 200 points in his first season. You never know. So we already mentioned the Wild revealed their jerseys. It was designed to celebrate the state's rich hockey pedigree, the rivalry of the Twin Cities, and its legacy as the state of hockey. Elements from, I'm not going to read all this. Don't worry, Bill. I know you're looking at the same thing as me. Elements from the famed Minneapolis and St. Paul hockey squads were combined into one uniform. The base jersey design unites the St. Paul Saints look from the 1930s with the traditional Minnesota Wild color palette. The lettering, numbers, and other design elements in the jersey all come from those early hockey clubs that helped make Minnesota the, quote, state of hockey. So this is... a lot of people thought they were going to go North Stars. And I actually saw a lot of Minnesota people excited that they didn't go with the North Stars. They thought that was played out maybe with last year's retro reverse, which I loved those jerseys as well. But I don't know. I did not like the style at all. And I've seen some people say they like the way it looks. They think it's cool. They went back to, a 1930s type look, but I just don't think it looks good on today's jersey. And I'm not a fan. I'm going to give this I'm going to give it a thumbs down.
Yeah, I'm right there with you on that. The overall, like the main color palette, we're used to that with the Wild, right? It's Christmas tree-ish, but we're used to it. When you start bringing in, trying to bring back the untinted leather look, the tan, not even saddle brown leather, to give it that retro feel. Not a big fan of that. And I don't know if you caught this, but from the photo shoot the other day, somebody had a picture of Spurgeon from the back. There are elbow patches on this jersey.
Yeah, I saw that. What is the point of that?
Why?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not a fan of, I think, and I get the whole encompassing Minneapolis and St. Paul, which I appreciate. I know that's a big part of Minnesota hockey, but the MLPS at the top and then spelling out St. Paul and the logo, and then that weird red and off-color white stripe at the top, just not a fan. There's too much going on. You got to go simple. And I think hopefully that's what the Blues are going to be doing, which they're going to way outclass the Wild, I think, depending on, what we think they're going to put out.
I didn't mind I don't know. I guess everybody can have their own opinion. I didn't mind the green color with the red in the shoulders, but as I looked at the rest of it, it almost kind of looked like a Christmas sweater to me. And that's, there's just too much to it. And I haven't talked to my colleague yet up in that covers the Wild, Jessie Pierce. I'm going to have a chance to talk with her at some point before we get into all the Winter Classic coverage as we get closer to the game. But I'm sure she's going to give me an earful when I tell her it looks like a Christmas sweater. But then again, when I look at the overall complexity of it, there's just a little too much there for me. And yeah, I'm with you guys. I think the Blues just need to keep this as simple as can be, but give it a good look, but don't try to put too much into it, if that makes any sense at all. And I just got the sense when I saw the Wilds, there's just too much there. Just keep it simple, stupid, right?
Yeah.
You can make it look good without going in all these different directions of let's put a stripe here and let's put lettering here and a logo here and more lettering here and then different color. Just keep it simple. That was kind of my whole take with the whole thing. But as far as the dominant color being green, I didn't mind that one at all. But yeah, just kind of keep it simple. It would have been much better for them. So.
Yeah, I look at that jersey and I say, if it was just the stripes on the arms, the red at the top, and then I like that green color too. I actually agree with you. But you remove that top stripe across the chest,
yeah, for sure.
And you use a different logo. I think it's a beautiful jersey, but I just think that what's going on there in the middle just ruins everything. There's just too much going on. Let's see.
That top stripe, I think, is what really puts it over the top for the Christmas sweater, or I don't know, maybe even a Freddy Krueger sweater. It's pretty horrendous.
Yeah, maybe if they announced that the Winter Classic is being moved to Christmas Day, maybe I like it a little more. But definitely not for New Year's Day. It just doesn't work. Cameron Smith in the Facebook chat says a lot of people in Minnesota thought last year's Wild reverse retro looked like a wearable Subway commercial. I think we even called it the Subway jersey here on the show. But I you know what? It did. It totally did. But I still loved the look. I thought it was beautiful. Great look on the ice too. And I think I mentioned the Winnipeg Jets. A couple of years ago, had those baby blue jerseys that came out with Jets written in cursive. And I remember when they released it, I thought that jersey sucks. It's terrible. But then I saw it on the ice, and I thought it looked great. I don't see myself doing the same thing with this Wild jersey. I think I'm going to see it, and I'm going to say, yeah, that's still as ugly as I thought it would, especially like Bill said, with those damn elbow patches. What the hell is that about?
I guess I didn't even notice that. That kind of adds to all the. There's just too much there. So if I'm seeing all the different color schemes and I'm going, that's just too much. Well, I didn't even bother to look at the elbow pads. So if that's there, that just puts it even more over the top for me then.
Yeah, they're like a tan color, right, Bill?
No.
Yeah, it's the same tan that is the gloves,
Same as the gloves?
that Spurgeon's got on.
Ugh, terrible. Ugh, just terrible. So we mentioned
Yeah,
already.
and the pants.
Oh, I
They're
actually didn't even see the pants. I got to see the pants.
Yeah, the pants. They're. I think at least the front of the pants are that same tan. Like that. That's where you've gone too far with the forcing that that retro, old school leather look that it's just doesn't work.
I love that color. I really do, and I think it works well in a jersey if you do it well. But yeah, I agree. Oh, okay, I'm seeing the pants now. Yeah. Again, you're right. I mean, I don't know what color you go with that jersey because, like we've said, there's too much going on. But yeah, that tan color, that just does not work with everything else that's going on with that uniform. Not a fan. Whew. So, as we mentioned, the Blues announced their Traverse City prospect roster. The tournament takes place September 17th through the 20th. Highlights from the roster actually include a Blue from last season, who somebody I think we'll see a lot of this year, Dakota Joshua, somebody we mentioned that I think we'll be talking about a lot on this show, Scott Pirunovich, and then the last two first-round picks for the Blues, Jake Neighbors and Zach Bolduc. All highlight the roster. Round robin schedule was released as well. So the Blues on the 17th will play at 2 p.m. versus Toronto, the 18th at 6 p.m. versus Detroit, and then the 20th. So there's a day off there at 11 a.m. versus Dallas. I have no word on if it's going to be televised, but Lou, I don't know if you have any insider info. Have you heard anything about them being able to broadcast any of these games?
They usually do, but I haven't seen anything. I know that it's been available on, and I say this biting my tongue here because I know people have had issues with it in the past. I believe the Fox Sports Go app has always been able to televise that. And I don't know if the Detroit Red Wings, if that's in somehow conjunction with the Detroit Red Wings and what they have set up or not, but they've usually been able to stream it, and I know the Blues website has been able to stream it in the past, which has made it a lot easier. So I haven't seen any information on that yet, but I would assume that the Blues are going to be streaming it through their website like they have been in the past. But once that info becomes more readily available, I'll be sure to tweet that stuff out because a lot of people that have an interest in that, and they have in the past. So that's why the Blues decided maybe this is something that we should provide to everybody.
Yeah, I mean, hockey in September, that's what we want. Right. I remember when they first started going to this tournament years ago, and there was no televising at all, like not even Detroit, nothing. No. And I thought, just give us the scoreboard feed. That's what, I mean, all of us would be happy with that. Give us something. Right. We don't even need announcers.
It was heck just trying to find, the live scoring updates for this thing. And I forget where it was. I was finally able to find a website. I don't know if it's from the actual arena itself or something in conjunction with what the Red Wings did, where they were posting, Traverse City prospects results and whatnot. And that was pretty much the only way I was able to follow what was going on, is when they had just line score updates and whatnot. But it's become much better here, and we've been able to watch it, and fans seem to take quite a liking and quite an interest to it. So like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if the Blues provided those games and stream them on their website once again.
Well, I'll just put it like this, and this is kind of a new announcement. We are working on possibly streaming the Ponder Cup charity tournament that we run every year in November. If we can do it, Traverse City can do it. That's the way I see it. As far as the roster goes, I mentioned some of the standouts there, but I'm actually interested in goal with Joel Hofer is a guy that has gotten a lot of notoriety the past couple of years. And then I've been hearing from people I know, I'll just say, that work with close to the organization, that Colton Ellis has kind of fallen out of favor a bit. So he's on this roster. So it'll be interesting to see how he does in the spotlight. And then I'll add on defense, somebody who I'm excited about, a 7th-round pick for the Blues, Tyler Tucker, a guy who's really stepped his game up, and we've talked about on this show. We've had experts who's watched him play come on and say, this kid's not a 7th-round pick. At the worst, he's a 3rd or a 4th-round pick. So a guy who might be seeing time with the Blues in the near future, but definitely some standout players for me. How about you guys? Is there anybody that you're looking at on that roster that you're excited to see?
Well, certainly, the top end guys, the top end offensive guys, Alexandrov and Bolduc just signed recently, first professional contract. Want to see what we've got there. Toropchenko, want to see what they can do in this kind of, this tournament. It seems to, in years past when I've tried to tune in, trying to keep up with like where they are, the first period can go one way and the second period goes in a completely different direction. And if you tune out, you're like, I thought we had this one in the bag, and we're not even in the top half of the group. I don't know. It's getting a chance to see what they have and playing against some of their peers. It's definitely it's if I can check it out, I'm going to do it. But yeah, I'm still, it's that first taste. Still really holding out to see what training camp proper is going to bring.
Yeah, Alexandrov is one that really kind of jumps out at me because out of all these forwards that they drafted high on the high end here in the last couple of years, he's obviously going to be the one that's going to start knocking on the door first, and let some of these guys just, like Bolduc or even Jake Neighbors. I mean, unless these guys just start knocking the socks off of, the organization and the scouting staff and just really start making a name for themselves, he's probably the one that's going to be knocking on the door soon, kind of like, Robert Thomas or Jordan Kyrou did to get themselves, firmly entrenched here now. So, but it's funny that you guys mentioned Colton Ellis because I'll tell you what, his last full year, he was fantastic. Or, in the O. And, I would have thought that, he was going to push Joel Hofer here for, organizational depth. I mean, but it's great that, if you got two guys there on the correct trajectory and going in the right direction, that's going to be great to have, a couple of young guys like that, are going to be able to push each other, up the ladder, whoever gets there first, that's probably the $1 million question here. But because, we know Jordan Bennington's going to be here for a while, but, we don't know what's going to happen with Ville Husso. So, I mean, he's going into the last year of his contract here, and, he's going to be a UFA after that. And this is going to be kind of a prove-it year for him. So it might just slowly open the door for one of these guys to maybe make a pretty quick jump on a path to the NHL. And I say that for a guy like Joel Hofer more than anything because he worked with the organization quite a bit last year. And it sucks for a lot of these prospects because, they didn't get a full year last year, to play. They were just basically here, skating with the big boys, which, you can obviously learn a lot by doing that, but to actually play games, that's what it's all about. That's where you get the true character and the true understanding of what a prospect is all about. Just get them reps, get them prepared as much as you can. So Pirunovich is another guy I'm interested in because of the fact that he had the injury last year and didn't give him an opportunity. So that's going to provide some more organizational depth on that left side because with losing Carl Gunnarsson to retirement, Vince Dunn is gone now. That's gonna open up some doors over there on that left side. And we've seen Jake Wallman and Mikkola now kind of step into prominent roles on that left side. But you might have a guy like that, like a Pirunovich that could easily be knocking on the door here. And you already mentioned him, Jeff Tyler Tucker. I mean, they played him, when they were scrimmaging and doing things last year with the team and had him up here. He got a lot of reps as an extra forward. So a multi-dimensional kind of a guy, but we all know that his true position is playing on that blue line, and I'd like to see how well he's going to be able to develop there.
So a couple comments in the YouTube chat. Ben H301, who I think is a new live listener, he says, I think the Blues jerseys are going to be better than the Wild's no matter what. The Wild jerseys look whack. The Blues never seem to make that bad of jerseys. I will agree about 90% because, again, I hate the clown jerseys. And I think, I know, Bill, you agree. Lou, your thoughts on the Blues clown jerseys?
Well,
if you like them, it's okay.
Yeah, they're not bad. I mean, they've, like I think we touched on them earlier. They've kind of grown on me. That just, you either love them or you hate them. And I know a lot of people out there that just don't like them. But whenever you see them, whenever they wear them on a regular basis, they all just kind of blend in together. I've seen so many jerseys and so many different styles covering the team over the years. I don't know if I've actually seen a bad one, and I may get crucified for this one, but that mid 80s one is the one that I'm really not a fan of with the smaller logo on. Yeah, that one. I've just never been much of a fan of that one. That one, if you want to call something plain as far as Blues jerseys and logos in history, that one probably stands out to me more than anything.
That one's pretty bad. I'll agree with you on that 100%. I know Bill agrees too. We've talked about that on the show. It's was that the one Harry Ornest's wife created? Yeah. She gets credit for it, and it was. I think that if it wasn't the jersey that was worn in the Monday Night Miracle game, that that game is what makes that jersey lovable. Apart from that, the jersey quality, I mean, it was visible mesh for an NHL, professional hockey team jersey. It was pretty garbage. But yeah, because of my argument is because of the Monday Night Miracle, it can be a loved jersey.
I agree.
Ben adds in the YouTube chat, will we see Pirunovich in the lineup this season? That's clearly a question for Lou, but I'm just going to go ahead and add real quick. Yes. I think he's ready.
I don't think so unless there's an injury back there, because I just think that they want him again. They want him. He basically missed a whole year last year, guys. I think that he just has to play hockey games. And where I see him going to Springfield and playing in the AHL this year and being a mainstay and an anchor there, I think that's a good stepping stone for him. If he can compete at that level, then that may elevate his push to the NHL. But I think they're pretty set along. Again, I reserve the right on this because anything can change if they decide that to alter the landscape of the seven guys that they have back there now. And let me throw in a bone to you guys here. I mean, I know he's only here on a two-way contract, but as far as organizational depth is concerned, they really like what Steven Santini brought to them last year. So you got to throw his name in there. I just think that there's too many guys ahead of him right now at this point that are going to get the minutes up here. And I think they just would rather have him someplace playing hockey games rather than just sitting here and watching. But he's close. That way.
Let me change my answer a bit. Like let me refine it, I guess is the right way I'll say it. I think we'll see him in the lineup this season. I don't think he'll be on the opening roster. I think we could see him as a call up at some point. Give him a game or two
possible
in the NHL, let him see what the landscape's like, the lifestyle's like, and then go back down to Springfield. So I agree with you for the most part. I think especially to start the year, he's going to be a number 1, number 2 defenseman in Springfield. Let him get the minutes in.
For sure.
So, you know what? We have our comment of the show. Congratulations to Adam in the Facebook chat. You win nothing except my admiration. He says, Husso has a shutout streak heading into the season, right? That is true. He does.
He does.
Over 60 minutes. That's all I know. I don't know what the exact number is, but just over 60 minutes. So congratulations
that just
to
blew me away. The only shutout of for the team last year came from him. That's just mind-boggling to me.
Came from him, and not only just came from him in the last game of the season. We were waiting all year. We kept saying on this show, like, not that shutouts are that important if you're scoring goals, but it's like this team's got to get a shutout, right? Like, eventually they have to blank a team. And then it came down to game 56, and we're like, well, I guess it's not going to happen this year. There's Ville Husso saving the day.
If I'm not mistaken, until that happened, they were going to go down with the Buffalo Sabres as the only teams that did not have a shutout last year, if you can believe that.
Man. The Buffalo Sabres. What a shock. They didn't have a shutout last year.
Exactly.
Yeah, and not company you want to be in with last year.
No.
Yeah, record holders for last year. That is not company you want to join.
And now they don't have their number 1 goalie anymore. Linus Ullmark has departed off to Boston, if I'm not Boston, I believe, right?
Yep.
That'll
be an interesting thing to watch how the goaltending develops there in Buffalo.
Yeah, they might call up the Buttes to play in the NHL before the season's over.
There you go. Carly Jackson, was that her name that we learned about last week? The starting goalie for the Buffalo Buttes? Yeah, maybe she'll get a game in. Bill, go try out. Why not? You're a seasoned goalie.
Seasoned goalie with 10 plus years of rust on him? Sure.
So real quick, fellas, we're going to take another quick break and hear from our friends over at Center Ice Brewery. And when we come back, you'll hear about what's going on around the hockey world.
Center Ice Brewery is St. Louis's only hockey-themed brewhouse. Stop on in during the next game to experience the ultimate hockey fan brewery while sampling various hockey-inspired beers, such as Old Arena Lager, the Beauty IPA, the Rotating Pale Ale Series, or seasonal offerings such as their Imperial Stout, their Lime Sherbet Sour, and much more. While you're there enjoying any number of their fantastic beverages, you can admire the bar top and tables made of authentic arena wood and the actual Penley Box door from the old barn. Located at 3126 Olive Street in Midtown St. Louis, it's one of the best places to watch a Blues game, or any game. Visit centericebrewery.com today to schedule a no-contact curbside pickup or make a reservation in the tap room. Center Ice Brewery. Let's go Blues! Please drink responsibly.
Lou, I have to ask, have you ever been to Center Ice Brewery?
I have not, unfortunately.
Oh, man. Okay, well, we're going to make you come out with us sometime. We'll catch, I don't know, a Blues away game or maybe a night they're not playing. And, yeah, it's a great time. A lot of great – I know you're a beer guy, so you'll enjoy it. It's a good time.
Okay.
I hope Adam's listening. Adam, the bartender, is a listener of the show. So, Adam, we'll make sure Lou comes out there and tries some of your signature drinks because they brew their own there, and it's always good stuff.
Nice.
Yep. So
Yeah, this might be the first time in a while neither of us have repped them with a beer in the show. Do you have one?
well,
You got one?
I've got their glass.
You got
I got the glass.
That's
Yeah,
good
but
enough. That's good
I
enough.
actually, I think I said last week I'm going to head out there and because they got like Kurt mentioned in the commercial there, no contact curbside pickup, which I don't care about that. I just walk in and say, "Give me beer," and they, hand me whatever beers I want, and I walk out. But anyway, they do all that too. They let you, they give you a 6-pack, 12-pack, whatever you want, and I said I was going to go in last week, and I never did. I'm a bad patron of Center Ice Brewery. I need to make my way out there soon. Again, they're in Midtown, right next to Pappy's. For anybody who's never been out there, great spot to catch even a Cardinals game right now. And I'll have to talk to Steve, see if or Adam, see if they'll have maybe the Traverse City game streaming on there. Because if they do, maybe we should plan a night out. That'd be a lot of fun. So, rapid fire hockey tidbits. What's going on around the world of hockey? We mentioned it a little earlier, so Bill, going to definitely want your take here. Montreal Canadiens did not match the Hurricanes' 1-year, $6.1 million offer sheet to Jesperi Kotkaniemi, or as he's called by, why am I forgetting his name? The guy on Hockey Night in Canada. Coach
Don Cherry?
Don Cherry, thank you. My goodness, what is wrong with me? As he calls him, Packer Yammy, which is not even close. They did not.
But
match
exactly
that
what you would expect.
Yeah, exactly. Great point. So in response, the Canadiens acquired Christian Dvorak from the Arizona Coyotes in exchange for a 2022 conditional first-round pick and a second-round pick in the 2024 NHL draft. The condition is the first-round selection will be the better of Montreal's own first-round pick and Carolina's first-round pick in the 2022 NHL draft. In the event that either or both the Canadiens and Carolina's picks are in the top 10, Montreal will instead transfer the worse of the two picks and their own 2024 second-round pick. I don't think that'll happen. I don't think we need to worry about that, but it's good to note the conditions of a first-round pick. So, Bill, I'll let you lead it off. Your thoughts on all of this, and Lou, I'll give you a little background. Bill, why am I going to give you the background? Bill, give him the background as to why you're a Blues fan and a Canadiens fan.
2 words: Patrick Waugh. Patrick
Bill's
Waugh,
a goalie.
1986.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
10 years old, and Patrick Waugh comes on the scene. We didn't have cable, but my neighbors had it, and I remember ESPN was super hot about the Rangers that year, and a young kid out of Montreal shut them down. And I remember watching some of those games, that windmill save that he made. I forget who it was on. It might have been Greshner, but just absolutely beautiful save. And from there, it was history. I remember watching games in the early 80s where the Blues would go into Montreal, and it was like, you knew you were going to get crushed, and, I didn't like it that much. But when Patrick Waugh came along, man, that was the difference. I've been a Canadiens fan ever since. So obviously I showed the jersey earlier, with Kotkaniemi. Really thought they had such a great core of center players coming up, with Suzuki and Kotkaniemi. I thought they had a great 1-2 pivot setup for a while. What I told Kurt, obviously the offer sheet, $6.1 million, that Kotkaniemi is not worth that money. And I think, as the offer sheet game goes, Carolina probably they overpaid, but they only have to pay him for 1 year, and they got all the Twitter accolades for like you said, the reverse card. And to me, what the cherry on the icing on the cake was when they dropped the press release in French about the trade. I thought that was perfect. But as the player goes, definitely not at this point in his career worth $6.1 million. His next contract, I would be surprised, is the same. What I told Kurt when we were chatting about it, I'm disappointed that Bergevin didn't get his own business done and let this happen. And I think at the end of the day, the Bergevin not matching is more about Bergevin than about the player. It's, and I think it's kind of a repeat of, PK Subban. He doesn't want anybody who's going to, have any brighter limelight, and signing an offer sheet's pretty audacious. So,
Bill, let me interrupt and just say I've got the exact quote of what you said. And I thought this was a great line. Again, we've got a little chat we have between the three hosts, talk about what's going to be on the show as well as what's going on in the NHL. So looking at that, Bill, I'll just say voiced his displeasure. And then Kurt asked, you want him to match? And Bill says, I wanted him to take care of his business on his own terms and not get in the position to lose him like this. I can't believe that this was a long game outcome he positioned himself for. And I think that was very well said, because I completely agree. That's just a situation as a GM you can't let yourself get into.
Yeah. And I think, the Dvorak move, it offsets it, but I think that's Bergevin saying, just saying it without saying it, that he's moved on, and that he had a plan B in place all along, when at the end of the day, he's the one that really looks like an ass in this whole thing.
I think the bottom line is he's just mad maybe that Carolina matched the contract offer to Sebastian Aho.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
That would have been a heck of a coup if he would have been able to pull that one off.
Yeah.
Yeah. Imagine that run last year if Aho was on that roster.
Yeah.
God, that's I mean, and completely different story, but if Montreal would have pulled that off, it would have been great. And I think it was, it was one kind of a predatory move. Carolina's still got relatively new ownership, and you're going to test those purse strings by throwing that offer sheet. And they come back with this one, definitely overpaying for the player and saying, if you want him, you've got to match it. And, like I said, at the end of the day, Bergevin's the one that looks like an ass.
Yep, unfortunately for the Canadiens. So the NHLPA, International Olympic Committee, good Lord, and the International Ice Hockey Federation struck a deal that puts NHL players back in the Olympics in February 2022 in Beijing. They did skip the 2018 Pyeongchang games, for those of you that might not remember or might be new fans. I'm a fan of players of the best in the Olympics. I know there's an argument to be made for this is for amateurs, not professionals. And I see that point, but I just feel like when it comes to the Olympics, I want to see the best competition there is. So I'm all for this. What are your guys' thoughts? Let's start with Lou. Your thoughts on the NHL returning to the Olympics?
Oh God, 1,000% yes. I mean, I don't even. Where do you begin? I mean, some of the great Olympic games we've seen over the years, man, just the heart and the passion that these guys put into these. It's great drama. It's great. It's the best of the best. I mean, why? How could you not want that? It's just not just not just as somebody that's rooting for, a particular team and your players representing a certain country. I mean, just how could you not want to see the best players in the world competing against one another and where the stakes are high? I mean, you see that, you see the best players from the NHL perspective, in an all-star game, but that doesn't even compare because that they don't, there's no passion in that. I mean, they're just kind of out there putting on a show. This is some serious stuff. I mean, I remember talking to Alex Petrangelo about this once, and he says when we were talking about competing in the Stanley Cup playoffs and trying to win a Stanley Cup, and he goes, the only thing that's even remotely close to this is competing in the Olympics and trying to win that gold medal. And believe you and me, when those guys get selected to represent their countries, it means just as much to them as trying to win a cup over here. It's there's nothing like it. And if you feel otherwise, I feel sorry for you, because to me, there's very few games that you come away watching at the Olympic level that you come away with saying, why did I just waste 2.5-3 hours of my time watching that? Because the competition is just incredible.
One of my favorite games that I've ever watched, and I'm so happy as a kid I recorded on VHS, was I believe it was 2002 in Salt Lake City when Belarus beat Sweden in a playoff game, and which unfortunately ruined Tommy Salo's career. He never rebounded after that. But I mean, I remember just watching that game, and Sweden had like 52 shots in the game, and Belarus only had like 18, but they just found a way to grind out that win. And that's when people argue, well, I don't want to see these 6-0, 7-1 games. There's that one chance, and we heard it with the Herb Brooks line from Miracle when he says they're going to beat us 9 out of 10 times, but there's that one time. And like, that's what I wait for in the Olympics is, as much as I want USA to just go undefeated, when they've got a close game late, even against a Belarus or a Germany, I love it. It's captivating, and it's God, I love this player on Germany, but man, I hope USA finds a way to pull through. I mean, that's the kind of stuff I want to watch when I'm watching the Olympics.
What do you think it means for those countries that normally feel like they don't stand a chance, and now you actually have a chance to slay the dragon? I mean, it's rare, but it's something that if you get a chance to see it, it's captivating. It is to me, and it's something that if you do get a chance to see something like that, you may never see it again. So just soak it in and enjoy it. That's what it's all about.
Yep. Bill, your thoughts?
Yeah. I mean, I don't want amateurs to return to the Olympics, because the best possible outcome that could ever have happened in 1980, right? We're never going to see that again. So at this point, just give us the best of the best, and let's see it every 4 years. That is, it was a once in a lifetime event. It occurred, and now, to your point, Lou, the chance of slaying the dragon, Belarus beating Sweden, China, in a couple of Olympics from now, not known as a hockey nation, could shock some people. That's they're going to build like they've built the rest of their Olympic committee, the Olympic programs rather, and there's going to be some upsets, but give me the best players in the world every 4 years. Let it happen. If you can't find a tournament, a Canada Cup style tournament to feature these guys, do it at the Olympics.
Yeah. I was trying to think. I actually couldn't remember who won the last World Cup that the NHL held, but I believe it was Canada, right? It had to be. That's the way I see it. But I remember it was Team Europe that was in the final with them. Yaroslav Halak was the starting goalie. And I remember just thinking, like, this is fun to watch. It's good hockey. But if Team Europe wins, who's celebrating? I know that there's, you got Andrzej Kopitar, you've got the Slovakians on that roster, German players on that roster. But, like, if they end up winning, that's nothing for those countries, Like, in the Olympics, I remember Italy when they had a team. I think it was the last time the NHL was in the Olympics. They scored a goal against Canada or the U.S. and it was mayhem in the arena because it was, oh my God, we scored a goal against one of these powerhouse teams, and it was the same thing. I remember watching the in Pyeongchang, the Korean women. They had I think they called themselves like the Korean Federation because it was both North and South Korean women. And they ended up, they were shut out like their first 2 or 3 games. And then they finally scored a goal. And I think they even got the first goal of the game. And it was a huge deal. And you just saw everyone going nuts in the stands, people flooding the ice, players flooding the ice from the bench because they scored a goal. Like, that is why I love the Olympics. I love seeing that kind of stuff. So seeing it from that perspective, that's the kind of stuff I want to see every 4 years. In the YouTube chat, always funny when this young man chimes in. Austin Lynch says, "Hey, I was just at the Cardinals game. I might be a little late." Austin, you are. And yeah, Austin, for Lou who may not know, Austin is a young high school kid, so go to bed. You've got school tomorrow, young man. He likes to chime in and tell us what's going on. I remember last week he told us, "Sorry, I was busy with homework, but I'm tuning in now." And I'm just like, dude, you didn't have to tell us. We would have just assumed you were listening. So same thing here. Austin, you didn't have to tell us you were at the Cardinals game. We would have assumed you were already watching.
Nice.
Last bit of news, the NWHL, the National Women's Hockey League, which we were lucky enough to have Buffalo Butte's GM Nate Oliver and then NWHL reporter Dan Rice on the show last week, which you have not listened, was awesome, getting to know them, their league, and how they prep for the season. But they have rebranded. They are no longer the NWHL. They are now the Premier Hockey Federation, or the PHF. The way that they worded it is no labels, no limits. PHF now defined by the talent and skill of its athletes. I voiced my opinion on this on Twitter. I want to hear your guys' opinion too, if you have one. I didn't like this move just in the sense that you are still a new league. You're slowly becoming a household name, and you're changing your name right now. I feel like that was a very odd time. I feel like, if you were to do that in 10 years, I know that's a long time, but maybe you've got more clout to where it's okay. I just fear that people are going to say, hey, you can stream the PHF over there on Twitch, and people are going to say, what the hell is the PHF? Whereas if you would have said that about the NWHL, it's clear, okay, yeah, that's the Women's Hockey League. And I added in our notes here, Bill, I added a note from Harrison Brown on Twitter, a former NWHL player. He says, I was extremely proud to play in the NWHL, but when I was asked where I played hockey by strangers, it would give me anxiety to state the full league name and essentially out myself. This is a very important move for non-binary or trans hockey players. Love the new digs, PHF. So in that sense, yes, that's fantastic. I'm glad it's more inclusive. It's letting people of non-binary and trans, it's allowing them to feel more at home with this league. But to me, again, it's just a matter of changing your name so early. They just started in 2015. I think it's for branding, for marketing, which is where my mind goes. It's a little soon to make that change. But please, if you guys disagree, please tell me.
No, I
No,
agree with you because, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Lou.
No,
Let's go with Lou.
No, I was just gonna say I agree because it's more or less like you said, when people want to get in tune with it, they're thinking, "Oh, where's the NWHL? Who's gonna think of something different?" That to me, that was your household name. That was what you have been known for, and that's what you have grown as. And it's like, it hasn't been that long, but your brand has grown under that moniker, and that's what I've kind of associated it with. So yeah, I think it's been a little too soon for that, because now when you look at it from a new name, you're thinking, well, where is it, or what is it? And someone's gonna kind of get lost in the shuffle here. That's where I like try thinking of the NHL wanting to all of a sudden change the National Hockey League. Okay. And people are gonna be like, well, what the heck is it now? And nobody's gonna remember what it would become. They're gonna remember it what it was. And to me, the NWHL is what it was, and that's everybody that got interested and involved in it. That's what they've known it as. And I don't know. I agree. I just think it's. I don't know if it's, maybe I'm wrong. I don't know if it's going to be a good move for them or not. I don't see it as a good move right now, but maybe down the line it will be. But from the outset, I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be a little bit of a tough haul to try to bring more on board and to get more fans involved, just because of that itself. Because those ones that you did bring on board, they knew it as the NWHL, and that's what I've always known it as. It's going to be hard for me to try to look for it under a different brand and a different name.
Yeah, I think that for a league the size of the PHF,
yeah,
use the correct moniker at this point, that there's probably more brand loyalty to the teams than to the league at this point, and that may be what they're trying to leverage. As long as there's stability, in the teams, and you're not having more, you're not going to go through a bunch of turnover in teams where a team shuts down mid-season or gets sold and rebrands the team name. I think that it's probably not as dangerous a move. I definitely last week when Nate and Dan were on the show, I was cruising NWHL.com, right? And they had a great website, and I'm sure that's going to redirect to PHF. But I think in this day and age, it'll be easier to find, but for a league, there's probably some risk, like you guys are saying, for a league this kind of nascent. But I don't know. I do tend to think that the brand loyalty lies with the teams and not with the league itself.
Well, I hope you're right. I think there's a lot of loyalty. Like we talked about the Whitecaps last week, which, by the way, they still have not announced that Amanda Levier has signed for this season.
Doesn't matter.
That's still breaking news for Let's Go Blues Radio.
Right.
It
broke on our show.
It did break on our show, but yeah, she's that whole team, like that's and obviously the Buffalo Buttes, like you said last week, fans now because the GM was awesome enough to come on and talk about his preparation for the season. But I'm still gonna watch. I'm still gonna stream on Twitch. It's still a fun league to watch. It's the skill level is out of this world. But yeah, and maybe in 3 years we're talking about how, oh yeah, remember how they were the NWHL, and it's like an afterthought. I hope that's the case, but I don't know. I just feel like it's a little soon to make that change. But again, I've got a marketing, branding background. That's where my mind goes. But, like you said, Bill, that's a good point. Maybe it's just that they say, well, these people are already, they're with the teams. They care about the teams. They don't care about the league itself. Maybe that's the case. But, and I hope you're right, because I hope that league continues to grow. Well, we have reached the end of the show. Let's see. Looking at the comments here in Facebook, Ben Hampton asks, is there any way to listen without having the Facebook or YouTube app open? Unfortunately, Ben, if you want to listen live, that is the only way to do it. But again, we do podcast the show. So sometime tomorrow, probably in the early afternoon, you could always tune in after, but again, you lose the fan interaction there. So you won't be able to interact with us. But if you are interested, we're on every podcast platform, including Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, whatever the hell else is out there. We're on all of them. So you can always find us on there too. So anything else from you fellas before we close up the show?
Yes, I am shocked that nobody asked me for lines.
That's true. We did. Okay, Lou. What are the lines next season?
I knew and you know what? Look at this. I even got my little Post-it here. I put it on my Post-it just in case somebody decided to ask an impromptu lineup for opening night. And
let's hear it.
I'll give you. All right. We'll do this since I put my foot in my mouth and decided to bring it up myself. I am going. You guys want to hear names or you guys want to hear numbers?
Oh, well, I would love to do numbers, but for those that may not be as well equipped as us, let's go with names.
Right. Okay. My lineup for Colorado, October 16th. By the way, guys, that's coming up pretty quick here. I am going Buchnevich, O'Reilly, Perron is my top line. Saad, Shen, Tarasenko.
Oh, boy.
Gotta include them, guys. Klim Kostin, Robert Thomas, Jordan Kyrou. My third line. Fourth line. Everybody's favorite, Zach Sanford, Oscar Sundqvist, if he's healthy, obviously, and there's a good chance that he could start on LTIR. And if he doesn't play, then I am putting Dakota Joshua in there with Ivan Barbashev, because I think Dakota Joshua, I like the way he played last year, and I think he deserves a shot. And my D pairs, some might agree with these, some may not agree. I'm going Krug and Pareco to start, because they tried to start them last year when they were when Pareco was healthy. Obviously, that's a big if. I want to split up Krug and Falk because I want to have a little more balance and I want to have a little more size. So I am putting Scandella with Falk, and I am starting Jake Wallman with Robert Bortuzzo, and Mikkola is my seventh defenseman.
I mentioned this last week. One of my teammates asked me what I thought of a top pairing of Pareco with a Nico Mikkola, and I thought I'd like to see it in camp. That's a big pairing, two big guys. But yeah, I mean, right now it's like you're putting a lot on Mikkola's shoulders, having him play on the top pairing.
He's getting there, not quite yet. Let's put it that way. I'm not there yet. I need to see more reps. I need to see more games out of him to see where his game goes. But the sample size we've gotten so far, I've been pretty impressed with it.
Yeah, me too. I said last year, I feel like he's not a guy who's going to put up Hall of Fame, any type numbers or anything like that, but he's going to have a solid NHL career. I could see him sticking around for a while. He's a very good puck moving and defensive defenseman. So only the best for him. Hopefully he stays in St. Louis. We'll see. But those are interesting lines, man. So you've got Kyle Clifford as your healthy scratch on your 13th forward. Yep. And Zach Sanford, I can't believe he's not on your first line.
Unfortunately, he didn't make the cut. And but you know what? He's on the team, guys, and I know I know everybody's been ready to put their boot to his behind and kick him out of town, but there's something. Listen, he's shown stretches where he can be effective on this team. It's just been too inconsistent for me to. You can't say he hasn't been given ample opportunity. My goodness, he's gotten so much opportunity to produce, to be a mainstay, and it just hasn't worked out. So I don't know. Maybe he uses this 1-year contract as a kick in the butt and a kick in the can that says, I better produce consistently on this team, and I better be a productive player on this team, or he's going to find a new address next year. Plain and simple.
Yep. Yeah, I've actually, for the longest time, I was the Zach Sanford apologist of the show. I always thought he provides a lot. I just don't think he's being used properly. Last season, he got a lot of opportunity, and I did not see enough of what he could do. So I agree. Being a contract year, getting the 1-year deal, kind of a prove it deal from Armstrong. Yeah, no time like the present to prove that you belong in the NHL. So I think even that fourth line that you mentioned with Sundqvist and Barbashev, those guys can produce. So you've still got opportunity to prove that you can be offensive player even on the Blues fourth line with those two guys.
And those guys tend to bring out the best in whoever plays on their line. They really have in the past. And if anybody can bring out the best out of Zach Sanford, I think those two can.
Yeah, we saw it with Steen. I thought Steen looked like a rejuvenated player playing on that fourth line with those guys a couple of years ago. So not saying Sanford's in the same mold as Steen. Steen had a little better career, but yeah, I think you could definitely see somebody stepping in and playing great on that line with those two because they give it their all every shift.
Yeah, I really like that line. Now that Blaze gone, obviously, sorry, Sammy, loved you while you're here, but the trade we got for you, you're already forgotten. But putting Sanford up there with, giving him an opportunity for two guys who are probably the better defensive players on this team, better defensive forwards outside of O'Reilly. Let him get in on the forecheck. Stop playing like the skinny, Nintendo hockey guy and play, get in there, play the wrecking ball that Sammy Blais did a little bit, and then have the ability to be the forward on that group, get a few more opportunities. I mean, we've seen that he's got really good hands and can get some decent shots off in the slot with not a lot of room. I don't know if you're going to have a lot of opportunity like that, but if he's getting down on the forecheck and getting closer to the net, I'd like to see his hands closer to the net than deep in the slot. I think it's a great opportunity, and I just hope that they don't try to force Costin onto the fourth line and try to use Sanford as a top 9, top 6 forward. Let him play that fourth line. I like it.
So, Lou, again, want to thank you very much for coming on the show. I kind of a question here that I'm totally just not giving you any prep to mention, but is there anything that you can tell us now that people can look forward to hearing from your coverage this season? Maybe off the norm, off the beaten path that they normally get from you.
Not anything that I can think of off the top of my head right now. I mean, I'm kind of in that mode right now where I'm starting to look at players on the roster and thinking of maybe different things to write about these guys. I mean, again, it just all comes down to just little chit chat. You don't know how many times I've come up with a story, just little random chit chat with guys in the locker room that they may drop something to, and you're like, wow, that's pretty interesting. You mind talking about it? And boom, next thing you know, there's a story that comes out of that. So I'm just kind of looking forward to, especially getting to know some of the new guys that were on the team last year that I never got a chance to talk to face to face, like Torrey Krug, and I've never got a chance to meet him yet. And, look at Mike Hoffman was on the team last year and I never got a chance to talk to him face to face, now he's in Montreal. So just looking forward to that. But no, I can't think of anything off the top of my head right now, but as a lot of times things hit me as they come, and it's really, really random and spur of the moment, but just look forward to whatever comes along and enjoy the ride. Cause I think this team might surprise some people again. I think they're going to be determined to move back up that ladder again after taking a few pegs down the last couple of years, or getting knocked down the last couple of seasons.
Yeah, so again, that's Lou Korac, and even though I kind of hit him with a tough question there, he does put out great stuff on his blog spot, as well as, of course, on NHL.com. So I strongly recommend, if you haven't checked out lkorac10.blogspot.com, that you do that. Even now, even over the summer, he's had some great stuff that's been posted. I think your most recent article was the Pareco 8-year deal story. You had some good quotes in there from players. So definitely check that out if you haven't. Then, of course, NHL.com. Any gamers from home games, and then, of course, any other breaking news, anything else that happens, any other analysis pieces, check out NHL.com, the Blues site. You will see plenty from Lou Korac. So again, thank you very much. And of course, again, follow him on Twitter, L Korac. That's Korac with a KORAC10. Give him a follow if you haven't already, because again, great stuff from him. Not just kissing ass here. You do a great job, and we appreciate everything you do, Lou. So thank you very much for joining the show.
Thanks for having me, guys. I enjoyed doing this with you guys. It's great to talk puck.
Of course. Well, support for Let's Go Blues Radio is brought to you in part by ID Life, the world's only truly personalized vitamin platform based on a health assessment of your DNA. Visit rockinthatidlife.com for more information. That's rockinthatidlife.com, and get 10% off by texting Dustin at 636-393-8745 and tell him Let's Go Blues Radio sent you. That's 636-393-8745. Also by Center Ice Brewery, St. Louis's hockey-themed brewery. Visit centericebrewery.com today to schedule a no-contact curbside pickup or to make a reservation in their awesome tap room. While you're there and enjoying a number of their fantastic beers, you can admire the bar top and tables made of authentic arena wood. Located at 3126 Olive Street in Midtown St. Louis, it's one of the best places to watch a Blues game. That's centericebrewery.com. Please drink responsibly. That will do it for episode 52 of season 9 of the original St. Louis Blues hockey podcast, Let's Go Blues Radio. Thanks for listening, and thanks to those who participated in the YouTube and Facebook live chats during the show. I had fun, Bill had fun, Lou had fun, and we hope you had fun too. For Kurt Price and Bill Day, I'm Jeff Ponder, and this was Let's Go Blues Radio. Until next time, everyone, let's go Blues.
Let's go Blues.
Can we get a Let's Go Blues from Lou?
I better refrain from doing that.
That'll work. I'll say it for him. Let's go
Damn
Blues.
Media ethics.
There you go. There you go.
The Chiefs are at home tonight against Cyanosport at the War Memorial at 8. Good seats are still available. I think that went very well.
Thank you for listening to Let's Go Blues Radio. Now take off, hosers.
I want you to have a heart attack and die so that we never have to do this shit again.
Well, there's 90 minutes of your life you'll never get back. Sorry.
St. Louis Blues, St. Louis Blues. Have you heard the news about our St. Louis Blues? They've only just begun, they're on their way to #1. Now there's no more blues for our St. Louis Blues. The Blues are on the ice tonight again. They're rough and tough and got the stuff to win. They'll always get one more, no matter what the score. They